Now let's go with offensive lineman. Give me one offensive lineman.
Offensive lineman, the best offensive lineman I have to say is probably Tom Mikowski. Um, the guys in the East Chicago, he was inducted to the East Chicago Hall of Fame a couple years ago. Um, went to IU, had a great career at IU. Parade All-American. I played with the guy, 6'3", 270. Great athlete. Was a basketball player. A lot of people don't know played baseball. Was very tough and was a genius in the classrooms. He actually came also from a football family. His daddy, Chet Likowski, was a coach at East Chicago Roosevelt, so he was a benefit. He was a coach's kid. So that actually put this guy on a whole nother level from a lot of guys that we played.
At the time, who would you take?
The next best offensive lineman I would say would probably be it's hard to put into words, but I want to say it has to be Juan Torres. Juan Torres was a guy, he came out in 1993. I believe he was a center, first team all area, 6'2", 270. He actually coaches at TF North now. I played with Juan. He was a sophomore when I was a senior. Guy was big, strong, fast. They called him Baby Likowski because he was a straight A student. He mimicked everything Tom did. He hit the weights. He was strong. So I'll say he probably was the next best guy. After him, I'd probably have to say it would be one of my idols, Sasha Duicic. Sasha, he came out in '89. The guy was 6'4". He was about 270. He played backside tackle. Went to North Carolina. I mean, he was just actually dominant. He blocked for Scott Upshaw. I mean, this guy, every play I watched him as a freshman, he was blowing guys off the ball. And he was doing it with ease. And that'll be probably my top guys as offensive linemen.
D lineman.
D lineman, hands down. A lot of people got a lot of debate, but I say hands down was Robert Smith. The guy was a freak of nature. A freak of nature.
Now, when you say debating about what? I mean, because hands down, in my opinion, he's the best too.
Some people debated between him and Kawan Short, but
okay.
I say hands down is Robert Smith. Guy was a freak of nature, 6'4", 260, 270, running legit 4.6 40. Could actually stand under the basket and dunk two hands. The guy was unblockable. I tell people now, I hated being an underclassman because I played center and I was going against this guy every day in practice. And I tell people, I'm not scared to tell them, I get my butt kicked every day in practice, but I wasn't the only one. And it was just a lot of things that he did that made him the best. After that, I'll say it had to be Kawan Short. It's another guy who was freaking nature basketball player, everybody knows, state champ, plays at Purdue now. The guy he was better than everyone at his level. He really made his mark when he went to the Michigan camp after his junior season and came out rated now as the #1 defensive lineman out of that camp. Wow. After that, I'll probably have to say Damon Smith Williams. This is another guy. This guy was a linebacker. Damon Smith Williams. The guy was a linebacker. His junior senior year, they moved him to the D line, and he just dominated every single play. He also was an offensive lineman, but by that time they moved him to fullback.
Yeah.
His senior year. But that just goes to show you how great of an athlete he was. He was a dominant lineman. But those are my top 3 defensive linemen. Linebackers, Dante Smith, hands down. Dante Smith, no one's better. has every tackling record, I believe, at Chicago Central. Was 2-time Hammer Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year. Led the team in tackles 2 straight years. Guy was a great running back also. He had great hands. They had how many teams you actually saw had a linebacker returning punts? I mean, that's how dominant this guy was, how much athletic he was. Was a hitter, made a lot of big plays. The next guy I would say would be Royce Love. 6'2", 235, decent speed. Guy was a hitter, playmaker, was another brainiac, genius. Read offenses like it was nothing. He was a film junkie. I played with this guy. He sit there and watch film. Like, after practice over, he's sitting there watching film. Like, you go home now, Royce. No, I'm watching film. But that's the type of player he was. After that, I want to say probably was 80 and Nars. Another guy, 6'4", 225. Went to Central State. Guy made a lot of big plays. So he was the next guy I have to say. But those are my top 3 linebackers.
What did Aaron Smith fill in there?
Aaron Smith probably would be the 4th guy on that list. He's a guy that played. He could play middle, outside linebacker. Had great speed. Guy went to Cincinnati. I really liked the guy, but he came out. He was probably one of the smaller guys out of that group.
Okay. Cornerback,
hands down, was Keon Jackson. You know, this guy was a shutdown corner. He played safety and corner his senior year. The guy could guard anybody. If I had to put together any receiver that came out this area or any receiver that out of Central, you can put Keon Jackson on him one-on-one and nothing was going to get past. Guy he was probably one of the fastest corners come out of East Chicago, one of the biggest at 6'1.5". Went to Toledo, had a great year at Toledo. After that, I want to say Vincent Clark. Vincent Clark was a guy who came up in my era. He is one of those guys who came up in the street football league also. So like I said, you get this guy, now you get him on pass, now you got a great player.
And how about Rodney Reynolds, Antoine Bullard, what kind of guys?
Next on my list would probably be Antoine Bullard. He'll be the 3rd. The guy, he was another just great athlete. He was another guy you could actually put on a guy man-to-man on the island. But he's low on my list because of football knowledge. Vincent Clark, I gotta say, was the smartest. Keon Jackson was probably the overall best. Then I have to go with Antoine Bullard. After that, I'll probably have to go with another guy who just, the guy was a great guy. He had great speed. Was Dave McLean. If you go by DBs, overall.
Okay. How about safety?
Safety, Royce Roberson. The guy, wow. It ain't too much I can say about him. The guy, he led the team. My senior year, he was a junior. He led us in interception. Hey, you got a guy 6'1", running a 10.5 in the 100 meters, running a 4.4, was a hitter. You couldn't throw any deep on this guy. He was going to pick it off for some reason. The next guy at safety, I have to say Kimber Fry. Kimber Fry was a big guy. He was 6'2", about 190. Went to D1, played D1. Can't remember the college he went to. He started off at Central State, actually. He went on to one of the black historic colleges and was a starter. He came out in 1991. The guy was a hitter. He made a lot of waves. After that, you know, it kind of thin out as far as safeties. As far as, you know, that I can remember the guys that actually did a lot. The next guy on the list will probably be at safety will be Kyle Monroe. Kyle Monroe will probably be the third guy at the safety position. Guy had great speed, big guy, was a hitter, was all area. Went to Indiana State, had 2 great years. Unfortunately, injury ended his career early. Then the next guy on the list had to be Jeremiah Jones, the smallest guy, and played safety at Central, but was one of the hardest hitting guys. Was one of the faster guys. Went to Manchester College. Had a great career at Manchester College, and actually, this past recent year, he was invited to the NFL Combine down in Indianapolis, and he did decent well. But by him being so small, he's only got 5'8". You know, he didn't have 4.3 speed. The guy probably was like at 4.6, 4.7. But he made his mark. But those were the guys that for us in the second year.
Okay, give me the best player, one player, all time. I don't care what era, season they had. In your opinion, who's the best player in Chicago Central history?
Best player, hands down, in my opinion, was Martel Payne France. Guy was probably one of the best athletes I've seen or played with, high school or college. Great guy to be around, great team leader. On and off the field, he's your best friend. He'll give you the shirt on your back. He's a guy that'll sacrifice his life for you. There's not too many guys that I've coached or played that I've seen that would do that. He cared more about his teammates than he did himself. I remember one game he actually gave a backup guy his shoes because the backup guy didn't have a good pair of cleats. And that's the type of player I want on my team, or I want to coach. And I was fortunate to play high school with him and college, and actually coach with him for 2 years at East Chicago Central. And it really, you know, as you grow older, you really see what a man is about. And that's why I say this guy is hands down the best player ever to play East Chicago Central. If it was a Mr. Cardinal, he would be Mr. Cardinal. Not just because of his stats and all the accolades, you know, being Street Smith, top, you know, 5 running back in the country, but it's the little things on and off the field that he do that I believe that made him the best player.
What is one motto that you live by?
The motto I live by is excuses are monuments to nothing. You can't make excuses for yourself every single day about everything. Some days you have to take the bullet for yourself. You know, you have to look at yourself and say, I did this, and not blame everybody. So that's the code I live by. And me being a coach for 11 years, that's what I teach my players. Don't make excuses for everything. You know, go out and get the job done.
All right. Hey, Dino, I want to thank you, man, for joining us today. I really appreciate it, man. Pretty soon we're going to have a round table, big discussion, and I'd like to have you in that. Once an athlete, always an athlete. All right. Thank you for watching Athletes Lives Network exclusive interviews. We will have more exciting interviews to come as we journey across the state of Indiana to look into the lives of former, present, and future athletes. You can follow us on our website at www.athletelives.com or follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/athletelives. Remember, once an athlete, always an athlete.